So today we're going to look at writing two different equations from one word problem. We want to start by identifying our variables, writing our equations, and then working on graphing and finding a solution. So the first thing we're going to do is read through our word problem. It says Mrs. Fogiel is making goodie bags for Easter filled with chocolates and candy. She wants to spend no more than $50 to make them. Chocolates cost $2.50 per pound, and sour candies cost $2 per pound. Mrs. Fogiel bought at least 15 pounds of chocolates and sour candies combined. Write and graph a system of inequalities. Then find a combination of chocolates and sour candies that is a solution. So when I go back and I read through this again, I want to look for my keywords. So for example, I see that I want to spend no more than $50. So no more than is a keyword. Then I want to keep reading. I see another keyword where it says that I bought at least 15 pounds of chocolate and sour candies combined. So remember that I kind of kept reading that sentence to make sure I had the whole thing. So I see no more than and I see at least, which means that I have two different equations. So I need to figure out what my equations are about. So when I'm spending no more than $50, that talks about money. So for equation one, I'm going to write money. But then for equation two, it says that I bought at least 15 pounds of chocolate. So that's just amount of chocolate. Or chocolate and candy, so amount of candy. So I now need to go back and figure out what is X and what is Y. So if I read this, it looks like I bought chocolate and candy. So two things. So chocolate candy and sour candy. So for X, that's going to be my chocolates. And for Y, it's going to be my sour candy. So that means that anywhere I see the word chocolate, I know it's going to be X. Anywhere I see the word sour candy, it's going to be Y. So I can come back now and figure out everything that has to do with money. So if you notice, I'm color coding things. My money was the no more than $50. So now I also see that chocolates cost $2.50 per pound and sour candy cost $2 per pound. So everything that I saw with dollar signs, I highlighted in yellow. And I can go back now and figure out what my inequality is going to be. So I know when it says no more than, that's the symbol that is less than or equal to, because I can't spend more than that much. So over here in this equation one, I'm going to write less than or equal to $50. But now I need to figure out what goes in the beginning. So if you guys recall, we were usually doing something like something X plus something Y, figuring out what those two things are. But instead of doing the sum things, we can actually fill in because we know the numbers. So X is chocolates, and chocolates were $2.50 per pound. So $2.50 for X, and then sour candies were $2, so plus 2Y. Now I want to figure out the amount of candy, and this one's a little bit trickier. So it says that Mrs. Fogiel bought at least 15 pounds of chocolate candy and sour candy combined, but it doesn't say any other numbers to go with them. So I just know that there's some amount of chocolate and some amount of sour that are going to go together. So I can even just say X plus Y, and then my inequality sign of at least, so that's greater than or equal to 15 pounds. Because I don't know how many pounds, and that's what we're trying to find. So pounds of chocolate, pounds of sour candy. So there's no numbers there, or if you guys know, when there's no numbers, you can also have invisible ones. The next step is to solve them, which you guys have been getting really good at. So remember to solve for y. So I'm going to do the opposite with my x. Bring down everything that I have. And then divide by the number in front of y. When you divide negative 250 divided by 2, you're going to get negative 1.25. Remember that we want it to be a nice fraction for our slope. So if you're using your calculator, negative 1.25 is the same thing as negative 5 over 4. If you're not sure, like I had trouble here, I just multiplied both of these numbers by 2 to get something nicer. So it becomes -5/4, which is a lot easier to graph. And then -50 divided by 2 is 25. Okay, so we've written that equation, and now we got to do the same thing for the next one. So subtract 1x, 1y is greater than or equal to -1x plus 15. That last step, divide by the number in front of y, although dividing by 1 doesn't change anything. The next thing I need to do is graph, but this one doesn't have any numbers on it. So I know that I need to count up to at least 25 on my y-axis. So if I count by ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm not going to get there. If I count by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, I still don't get there. So maybe I count by something easier like fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and I don't need to keep counting because I know that I've already made it up to 25. And then on the bottom, I want to count by the same thing. That way I know that my scale is working. Remember that X is chocolates, Y is sour candies. And then graph like we're used to graphing. So I'm going to start at 25, and my slope tells me to go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then draw a straight line. And it should be a solid line because of the less than or equal to. So remember that this one is solid. And then when I look at this symbol, it is below. So I can take my highlighter and I can highlight below. Remember that you want to highlight light because you're going to have another color. So this time I'm going to graph this next one. I'm going to start at 15, and it says -1x, so down 1 over 1. Okay, draw my line, which should also be solid. And this time it's above because it's a greater than or equal to. So that's all this out here. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to fill the space. All right. So we've got our highlighting down. And remember, just like the warm-up, we've talked about where the solution area lies. And in this case, our solution area is going to be in here where the two colors overlap. So pick any coordinate you want in this area. So for example, I can pick the coordinate 5, 15, which means that I can buy 5 pounds of chocolate and 15 pounds of sour candy. As long as you pick any coordinate within the double shaded area, you have a solution. And that's it. Happy math time!